Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrea Anderson, Chief Idea Specialist of Your Marketing Machines. And today I have the incredible good fortune of being joined by none other, the chatbot controller himself. Dun, 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 dun. Mr. Mike Hilsden from Chatbot Agency. Do you just want to say a quick g'day there, buddy?
Hey, how are you, Andrea? Long time, Dale. Always good to catch up.
Yeah, man. This has been a while since we've had the privilege of doing one of these get-togethers. But look, I'm just excited for our audience today that we're going to sort of start giving them a little bit of the fundamental 101s of chatbot messenger marketing. But as we know, good old Zuckerberg loves to put changes on us. So as we're going through our presentation today, Mike, I'd be really keen for you to give us some sort of insights as well from your perspective.
Yep, not a problem, Dale. No,
excellent.
Anytime. I'm up for questions wherever you want me, darling.
We're here to rock and roll, right?
Absolutely. We're here to talk bots, and we've only got an hour. Jeez.
Exactly. Talk bots and talk money making. Okay. Yeah. So first thing I'd like to do is just do a quick acknowledgement of welcome to country, and that is we'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, pay our respects to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, the traditions, culture and hope of Indigenous Australians. And I also welcome our cousins from across the ditch.
Cozies.
The cozies. So I guess one of the reasons why you're here, and I'm hoping that one of these areas actually resonates with you. If there are any other reasons for you being here today, please put them in the chat box. Let us know what's brought you on here today so that we can endeavour to answer those questions for you. But I'm probably going to suggest that you're falling into one of these four categories. You're either frustrated with Facebook marketing because it loves to change its algorithms like it changes its underwear. Maybe a bit like Sue and Joe, you're curious as to what is the next thing coming out there in the social media arena. Number three, you want to be looking at creating or getting serious about generating pre-qualified leads, and how do you do that using a platform like Facebook? Or perhaps, you know, you're looking at a way of being able to automate your Facebook communications and rather get in control of how to use the Facebook platform for your particular business and for the goals that you're wanting to achieve. So, come on. Oh, there we go. So one of the things I always like to just address with people, and Mike's seen this 1,000 times, and that is knowing that marketing is actually a blueprint, believe it or not, that it consists of four very simple components made difficult by marketers. Just kidding. And that is lead generation, nurture journey, prospect experience, and sales conversion. What normally happens though with most people when they're thinking marketing is they're actually thinking advertising. So team, when you're looking at your particular business, I want you to be looking at the whole arena. And where does your marketing tasks actually fit inside the marketing blueprint? So today's conversation is going to fit very squarely in the social media strategy. Why? Because we're looking at using chatbots to be able to build brand awareness, lead generate, and a whole assortment of other goodies that our chatbots have the ability to do. So let's get into it. First thing we want to do is introduce you to Charlie Chatbot. So what is a chatbot? Mike, do you want to kick in here and give us a little bit of your knowledge of good old Charlie?
Yes. Oh, look, Charlie's basically your 24/7 first line at the reception of your Facebook page or your website, effectively finding out what you're doing there and how they can help. And depends on how we build it or the information that we give Charlie and work out what people want, then we can take care of them and bring them in through a funnel. And obviously when you start work the next day, you've got a whole list of leads to work on.
And I guess that's the interesting thing with Charlie, isn't it? Is that most people do. I mean, most people know or have some fundamental understanding of a chatbot, and that's that, you know, for some people it's that thing that pops up as a widget on a website. You know, in the early stages, that was the really cool thing to have on your website, although nobody was there to ever converse with you. And now we're seeing that more inside the Facebook pages themselves. But I just want to pick up on something that you said, and that is it operates 24/7 without you. It has that ability to develop a database while you sleep. Other experiences that you've had using Charlie out there in the marketplace, Mike?
Yeah, I think the number one purpose now for a chatbot inside Messenger is just to establish a connection, right? So it's all going to be about the connection, and eventually the lead will come. And with the connection starts the conversation, and then everything will actually happen organically from there. Unless, of course, you go out and you spam them and annoy them, and then they'll block you, and then Facebook will block you and shut you down. So, you know, at the end of the day, Andrea, really all it is we're just guiding them down a funnel. We know what the end point is for our business, so we're just helping them get there, but finding out information along the way.
I guess that's one of the real interesting things that I've come to learn and understand about the chatbot situation is that you can set up those predetermined conversations, can't you, or responses, where you would normally inside your business have to rely on a human to be available. You can actually preset that. So Charlie, essentially based on a series of decisions that the end user is adding in, Charlie can basically jump in and take the conversation and funnel the conversation in the right direction, can't it?
Absolutely. They call it, NLP, which stands for Natural Language something.
Programming.
Yeah.
Programming. Yeah.
And you
can. It's really funny, right? Because NLP used to be neuro-linguistic programming, right?
No. That was a past life. Now it's something else. And that's just using keywords inside, particular conversations that we're establishing inside the bot. Now, the important part here, though, Andrea, is, if you can get the conversation started. Like when we rolled this out, we tried to do what everyone else did, and that was you hit the messenger, and then it'd say, "How can we help you?" Now, 95% of people didn't know what to ask. Okay?
I don't know.
And there's nothing annoying like a bank chatbot going, "Hey, I want to speak to a real person. Is that because of da-da-da-da-da?" And then after 20 minutes, you can't speak to a real person. We have COVID problems. Well, this is sort of like taking it by the nose and going, right, if someone was to walk into my store, they usually come in and they ask me a few questions to buy something, right? So we're just doing that part. So you can cover off 95% of, that first port of call, and they don't need to go to your competitor because you've already engaged in the conversation. Exactly, because if you're not standing there at your page 24/7 and you don't respond, they're going to go onto your competitor. They're going to keep looking, right? Once you've got them in there. Now, the beauty about that is we know what they want. Secondly, they've come into your messenger inbox, which means that Facebook now knows that that person's had a conversation with you. Facebook's artificial has gone, bang, Andrea Anderson is really interested in chatbot agency, okay? So when Mike goes out and looks for more people, Facebook knows to look for people like Andrea Anderson.
Because I've shown interest and
you've had the conversation.
Right.
And guess what? I don't have to ask you for your phone number or email because that's totally irrelevant until you've got to the checkout.
Correct.
But from Facebook's end, when it's creating, and we spent a lot of time over COVID with Facebook working on this exact strategy, and we were saying, right, if we can have a more focused audience coming through Messenger, and don't tip guys, just don't ask all your friends to do it because that throws it all out. Just
That confuses the algorithms, guys.
absolutely. Run ads targeted for specific interests.
Yeah.
To have them come into your chatbot. Okay, and don't make the interest too great, because again, that's going to confuse them. Work out what your business is and who should be interested in your business. Find that out from your customers, and then based on that, Facebook's algorithm just goes to work for you.
Support you.
Absolutely, and the lookalike audiences that it can create that generate new post engagement through Messenger is incredible.
So hold that thought, because we are going to come back to that and deep dive a little bit further with that one there, Mike, because what you just said was a little bit bang on. So the question I want to now throw over to everybody, and guys, this is an interactive one. So this is where it's your turn to now actually pick up the pen and actually make some notes. The question I want you to be answering here for yourself, and that is, how can Charlie Chatbot fit into my business? What is it that you're thinking maybe you want Charlie to do for you? Is it that you want him to answer predetermined questions inside your messenger? Is it that you want him to lead capture, in other words, capture everyone's contact information? Is it that you want to sell something to them? Is it that you want Charlie to maybe have people book into an appointment with you? What is it that you actually are thinking inside your Facebook page? Now, for those of you on the call, and Joe, I'm going to use you as an example because you're in the wine industry. You're probably doing a lot of Facebook advertising. So the question is, are you sending those people who click on that Facebook ad, are you sending them off Facebook to your website or to a landing page? Or is there a way that you can continue the conversation inside Facebook using a chatbot? So that's a question I want you to be asking, because I'm going to just be straight up front with you guys here. If you don't really know what you want the technology to do for you, guess what? It will achieve that for you. It's called nothing. So I want you guys to be thinking with your business cap on, going, what is it that I actually want this thing to do for me? It's like a phone, right? Remember when mobile phones first came out? It was like all it could do was make a phone call. Now it does everything. Oh yeah, and also it does a phone call. So I want you to be thinking about the chatbot technology in regards to benefiting your particular business. So just picking up on what Mike was talking about before and looking at, well, what problems can a chatbot solve? And like a human, it can actually do quite a lot. Beauty I love about Charlie, and Mike and I talk about this a lot, and that is Charlie operates 24/7. He doesn't take holidays. He doesn't need to get paid sick pay because he never gets sick. Charlie also does exactly as I tell him to do when he's meant to do it. So if you're looking for cost-effective strategies, this is definitely one of them. But Mike, look, coming back to, and you and I have always had these kind of conversations, which is really what I love about the whole chatbot technology. These are just an example, really, of some of the things that Charlie does, isn't it?
Yes, totally. And I don't want to be, swinging, something out of my butt here right now. But with Messenger is its own piece of software, right? And Messenger is going to effectively be what the, web browser is, but it can take conversations, okay? Now, the way we've designed all this stuff is make it integrate with everything by using just one extra layer inside Messenger, and that is what we call a web view. And, Andrea, it's like a great example is let's say they're a solo makeup artist, okay, operating out of home. We know that they don't have a big budget. All they need is a Google Calendar, a Calendly account, which will cost them maximum $20 a month.
If you're lucky.
Yep. A Stripe account.
Yep.
Okay.
For payments.
Yep. And a chatbot.
To do communications.
Exactly. And then we have a Facebook ad strategy that targets their ideal audience using interests, right?
Yep.
So their money spent will be on the advertising front. So from the ad, they'll come into the bot and they're looking for a particular service, which could be an offer. Let's say a spray tan, $20, beauty. I want to grab it. Excellent. Book in now. Calendly pops up. I want that date, that time. Great. That's going to be a 20-minute, job. Boom. And it's going to be $20. So you actually book and pay for it
Inside
right there.
the
Now, as the makeup artist, she's not there on the phone while she's doing the face up and all that jazz, because we know that while she's doing the face, she's got to look after the client. And if all those calls are coming in on the mobile phone, some chicks will go, I need to speak to someone now. I'm going to ring the next person.
Yep.
But at least this way she can take care of them, give them an offer, get them booked in. It's linked up with her or his, can't be, discriminative here, into their calendar on Google. Hey, presto, that all syncs up with her mobile phone, okay? And she's been paid. She's been notified by Stripe. She's been paid. That money's going to be in the account. So it's contactless all the way through. Person comes in, we can set it up with a QR code. Look, you need to register coming in. Ding, 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 all through a chatbot. They're creating also an audience for Facebook to retarget to get them in later on with a similar offer, but at the same time, try and find other people similar. So it's just rinse and repeat.
Exactly.
So it doesn't happen overnight, folks. This takes a while to get Facebook trained. You've got to do it the right way. And just follow a very, very simple process. Don't try and be too tricky. Let the tech do it. Keep your strategy real simple.
And it's so important what you just said there. And I know we're probably going to have to repeat that process a couple of times in today's conversation,
Yep.
Mike. But one of the first questions, one of the first key aspects I'm really going to encourage everyone to be aware of, and that is chatbots inside Facebook becomes the new BFF for your business. It's essentially a tool that can help you to integrate quite seamlessly with what you're already doing. It's an extension of what you're already doing on Facebook. What's more important is this, and that is you're able to utilize the Facebook platform to actually work in your favor, right? And one of the things that we've always encouraged people not to do, and that is to boost. So let's just tackle that one straight away, Mike, because I, like you, I hear it every day. But we boost posts, and it's like, please don't boost posts. Please don't boost posts.
Yeah. There is a reason that Mark Zuckerberg is worth a shit ton of money. And that's because 98, 99% of people who have a Facebook page out there boost posts. You're better off going to the casino, putting all your money on zero and hoping the best.
Well, it's no different from, you go and buy insurance, or extended warranties on products when you're already covered under Consumer Guarantees Act. So
Yeah.
It's the same thing, guys. So I'm just going to encourage you, encourage everyone here, please avoid the boosting if you can. You're better off to invest that money into getting a chat bot or even Facebook advertising to begin with. And just on that note too, when we talk about utilizing Facebook's algorithms to find your audience, to find your similar audience, what's really interesting is when you look at the potential audience available to you. And guys, look at Facebook, Amazon, and Google are the three largest databases in the world.
Yep. They're the
Right?
smartest too.
They are the smartest. Oh, and this is how you know Google is listening to you, because I just went Google and she came alive right there and then on the phone. So if you're wondering whether, is Facebook an area that I should be playing in, quite possibly you could be. If you're wanting to understand the potential of your audience, here is just an example, and I hate to say it, but even these figures are a little bit outdated now.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that while Facebook has 6 million advertisers, there are only approximately 300,000 chatbots.
That has now increased.
Oh, finally.
Yep.
to
Conversations 2020 last week. ManyChat, who are a competitor of ours, say
yes, they are a
actually
competitor
came
of
out
ours.
and said 1.8 million chatbots out there now.
Wow, that's a big jump. 1.8 million. I better update that.
Okay. Now, this is how serious it is right now. It's a little bit like showing there's 300, and I was there. There were 300,000 websites on the internet, and then it grows so quickly. And then by the time you get your website up, you're just a needle in a haystack. So the bots now and messenger marketing right now is going to give you a lot of leverage long-term and cheaper, okay? Because as more and more come on and more advertisers come on, the ad costs are going to start to go up, okay? The rules are going to be changed again. Okay, so you may not be able to create a new list because they might have changed the rules. So you having that engagement and that list right in there right now is going to be your BFF.
Perfect. So the question then I'm going to have everyone just answer for themselves, and that is, what problems can Charlie Chatbot potentially help with in your business? It's real important that you are going to have issues and challenges in your marketing. It's the very reason why you're on the call today with us. So make a note of where you think Charlie could be of benefit and value to your business. So let's keep moving along there. I know that you and I get asked a lot in regards to, well, is Charlie good enough for my business? And we know that there's, a number of thousands and thousands of industries. And you and I have been fairly fortunate. We've worked with quite a few different industries with chatbots and the like. But have you come across an industry that isn't suited for a chatbot?
Oh, well, there is one industry you couldn't use it for. That's because they don't apply to Facebook's terms of services. and it could be very popular, but not allowed to, right?
I won't ask what you're talking about.
So look, that's probably about it,
Sure.
Really, if, for one, your business has to obviously fit in with terms of services. You can't be,
doing anything illegal.
That's right, all that jazz, and they'll come down on you pretty hard. But look, I think there's conversations in every business, otherwise there wouldn't be any business. It's just, that's how it works. So all the chatbot's doing is automating the conversation for you.
And so I guess the precursor here is, if you're selling a service, selling a product, or selling your information, potentially Charlie Chatbot could be a piece of technology that you can take advantage of.
Yep, small piece, a very small piece.
And so just a couple of examples, because people go, yeah, right, whatever, Andrea, like, you're a marketer. That's what you meant to say.
And these are in Australia too, not in America.
These are in Australia, yes.
Yep.
So when you're looking at examples, I mean, Mike, you've worked with quite a number of different industries, and, the real estate sector has been one that you've absolutely slaughtered and slayed here in Australia. So, just looking at these examples, these are just really simple examples.
Yep, absolutely. And we're still working. I'm actually signed on another one today, and they're actually a high profile Brownlow medalist for those down in Victoria. And we're looking at, let's say, making him a very high profile agent here, just by adapting the same strategies and principles that we've been using.
And I guess also establishing a situation where Charlie can do the communication while on Facebook with the potential lead, be able to generate or collect that contact information that's already available on Facebook, so we're not breaking any privacy laws, and essentially just data capturing, isn't it?
Absolutely. And look, Andrea, what gets a real estate agent is, I say, mate, I don't even ask for their phone number or their email. And they go, oh, well, I need that for my CRM. And I go, mate, well, why do you do that? Oh, so I can ring them back and send them an email. And I go, so all you're going to do is sit there and send text messages and emails for the rest of your life? But mate, have the conversation with them. We
Yeah.
don't actually need it because you've now got an open conversation
Inside your messenger.
24/7 inside Messenger.
Yep, exactly. So let's just repeat that real quick, because that's been traditional marketing where you would, so traditional marketing, guys, is where you would, send out something of interest for people to come through. They'd fill in a contact us form of some description. They might go into your newsletter database where you're starting to communicate with them via newsletter. You might send them an SMS, and then at some point, hopefully, you'll get around to the sales conversion. Now, we know that to do that, you require a CRM system, and yes, you can do free if you're using something like MailChimp, but if you're, got a fairly decent sized database, you're probably paying anything up to, 150 Australian a month for that. You've then got to pay for a human to actually write the content that goes in the newsletter for it to be sent out. You've got someone who needs to administrate your bounce rates, your unsubscription rates, and then finally you need to get your salesperson or someone to hopefully go and ring, to get in contact with them and start the sales sizzle. So essentially what we're saying is that you can potentially replace all of that by using chatbot inside your Facebook Messenger.
Yep, absolutely. Your Facebook page can be your CRM.
Yep.
People want stuff now, not in 5 minutes time.
Yep.
Bang, give it to me now. Classic example, I'm not picking on Joe, but Joe could have a new range of wines coming out, and it could be a simple flyer to an event. Okay. And it's like with a special code on it. And you could have that bot just set up and go, hey, get the special code, click through here, download. We actually know who actually downloaded the code there and there. So we can now create a new audience. It's a manual process, but it's possible. And then go out and retarget those people.
Great.
So as a warm up to an event and stuff like that, it just means you're going to start long tail cutting down on costs.
So guys, the question we're going to throw at you this time, question number 3, and that is, does Charlie fit in with my business culture and values? In other words, I know that there's a lot of businesses who go, oh, but Andrea, we want to give them that personalized service and we want to speak to people, we want to love on people. And I'm like, then great, have somebody sit on your Facebook 24/7, have a human who can actually answer all of those conversations and questions for you. For most businesses, that's cost prohibitive and time prohibitive. So what we want to encourage you to do is to look at how could you utilize Charlie to actually fit inside your business culture and your business values. And that's a real important question, because look, it's technology, and it's got to be a technology that can be utilized to benefit and support your business. So the next thing, and that is, how do I work? This is Charlie. Charlie's asking you the question there, guys. How can I work in, or how do I work in your business? And you've heard us mention it. Essentially, Charlie becomes a very cost-effective employee inside your business. Like I said, he doesn't get paid an hourly rate. He's on call, he works 24/7. He doesn't take holidays. He doesn't break down from, requiring sick pay. And he does exactly as you tell him to do. So that's how he fits into your business, is he's really just another piece of technology that you can utilize. Going back to something that Mike alluded to previously in our conversation, and that is, he's programmed to understand questions, provide answers, execute tasks. He's a time-saving, lead filtering tool, isn't he? He operates that 24/7 without you. He don't care if you're in Hollywood, Hawaii, or Hamilton. Ooh. He just keeps working, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
And he builds that database for you on your phone while you sleep. He's a low barrier to entry, because this is one of the questions we get asked is, well, gosh, he sounds too good to be true. Well, guess what? He's true, and he is really good. Yeah. And he's very cost effective. Like I said, you're not paying for an employee at approximately $30 an hour, plus holiday pay, plus sick pay, plus super. Right? He doesn't need any of that. taxes, you know, you don't pay your payee, you pay as you go on them. So very cost effective strategy and a very cost effective piece of technology to be considering. But when you're looking at onboarding, and I know you get asked this question a lot, I know I do, and that is, well, so how do we onboard Charlie? And it really is quite a simple process, isn't it?
It is. I think it's really just sitting down and finding out what is the end goal. We need to find that out first, because we can bring it all back to then work out how to get them through to that end point. And that's as difficult as it gets. And then obviously the strategy around it, and, you know, with what you do, Andrea, with, you know, blog content, keeping them warm, all that kind of stuff. And then what message do you want to go out with your ad strategy to bring them into whatever conversation, and find out what their interests are. And then start building that relationship, even though you're not doing it, but, you know, Charlie's doing it for you.
Well, it's your voice, isn't it? It's your voice that's coming through. It's the language that you're using, and you're educating Charlie to essentially speak like you or act like you. And it's so important to what you just said there, and it's all about the strategy. I think where a lot of people go wrong with marketing in general and with new technology is they don't understand that strategy is still required to know how to utilize the technology correctly.
Yep, absolutely. It's a little bit like when TVs came out, they were still trying to put programs on that they would on radio.
Yeah, I know, right?
Folks, no. It's sitting around a table. That's the conversations you want to start with on social.
Well, it's like, remember, we went, you know, it's the same with videos.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You know, it's the same thing. It's the reason why you don't see a Blockbuster around the place anymore. So guys, it's, once again, the question is, can I see Charlie Chatbot working in my business? Is this a potential opportunity for you? And it may be that right now it's not, right? It may not be the right time for you. However, this is actually the perfect opportunity for you to start questioning, well, what if he was, and how would he actually work inside my business? So let's just do a bit of a cost comparison here, my friend, because like I said earlier, you and I get asked this question quite a lot. So if we just do a cost comparison here, you're looking at your employer, your contractor, whomever, costing you around about, you know, 27, 28 bucks an hour, plus additional employment costs on top of that. And don't forget that you've got things like, you know, ACC in New Zealand or work cover here in Australia, same. And it's the same expensive cost. You've got your HR legislation that you need to be aware of, and you need to go through regulatory performance management processes. Charlie is a one-off cost, one-off setup fee for approximately $1,500 and up. Depends upon the level of complexity of what you want Charlie to do for your business. There's a monthly platform fee that starts from about $30 a month. And there's a monthly maintenance fee there as well to keep Charlie operating for updates if you want to change the conversation or change what he does for you. But the cool thing is this, you can cancel at any time. There's no need for you to really, you know, keep it around. If it ain't working or if the strategy's not working for you, great, you just cancel it like you do any other kind of technology that you're using. And that's where you've got to be able to look at a cost for cost factor. One thing that I will say though, and it's something I always say, and Mike, I know you've done fairly much the same kind of opinion as well, and that is your marketing when you're looking at lead generating or building your brand can take anything up to 2 to 3 months.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So here's what this is going to cost you. $30, so it's $90 over 3 months plus the $1,500, and if you make a couple of changes, maybe $500, so you're looking at around about $2,090 roughly over 3 months.
Yeah.
Now, if you would get a staff member in at 38 hours a week at 30 bucks an hour, it's $1,000 a week roughly of costs. Well, you've just burnt that up in 2 weeks. So this is where you've got to look at, okay, is this going to be a cost-effective marketing strategy for my business? And quite possibly it could be. So guys, remember, when you're looking at your marketing, you're looking at the 4 key components of marketing, and that's lead generation across the top, your nurture journey, your prospect experience. These are people who've come into your database, you haven't quite sold to them yet. They go through that prospect experience where they have the opportunity to self-select whether they're hot or not for you. And this is what I love about Charlie, Mike, and that is, if you get halfway through the conversation with Charlie and then the lead decides, I'm not interested in this, they leave, great, they're not for you. It's all right, it's okay. There's
Yeah,
a billion others out there potentially for you. And that
absolutely.
happens immediately with Charlie, doesn't it?
That's right. Exactly. That's this little an example I share with real estate agents, and I go, look, because I lock them in on a 12-week type plan and guarantee them 1,000 people into their database if they follow the strategy. And I go, out of that, you've got 30% who are homeowners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you've got 300 homeowners in your messenger list, you've only got to list, 1% of those, and you've got a really good income. Okay, so
Yep.
it becomes a numbers game, but more to the point, it's keeping Facebook trained. It's just like having a really good dog. You feed it, it behaves, it'll work for you. It's not hard, okay?
Yeah.
As soon as you deviate from it, okay, generally the deviation happens early, but once you've got it running, let it go. Just let it go. All you got to do is keep feeding it,
Just keep
responding
feeding
to it, and it works.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges that a lot of businesses face, is that they don't give the strategy long enough time to adjust.
Yep.
It's the same with, if you've got social media people who are doing postings for you, like trying to find your voice, trying to understand your audience, that takes anything up to 3 months to understand. And bear in mind that who was your audience pre-COVID may not necessarily be your audience now. So you need to have access to that real-time data on something like the Facebook platform, where you can start going, well, look, actually I can see who I'm attracting and who I'm not attracting. So you can adjust your marketing accordingly and therefore adjust the conversation that you have Charlie have for you, isn't it?
Yep. A bit like the law of attraction, really.
It is, I know, and that's so true. And that's where I think finding that that audience, or that kind of like for like, lookalike audiences that Facebook does for you. There's a reason why they do that, guys. It's a reason why they do have these strategies or these tools available to you, because they don't want you to go spend your money on Google. They don't want you to go spend your money on Amazon. They want you to spend your money on Facebook. So they're going to make it easier where possible for you to spend and invest that money. So,
and
yes,
put you in front of the right people
and
who
keep you
make it easy to buy from them.
correct. So it's the next question here for you is, what do I need to change in my budget to include Charlie? What do I need to consider or think of when it comes to looking at Charlie Chatbot being an integrated part? Now, something that we didn't mention, and I want to mention this real quick there as well, Mike, and that is, we've talked a lot about Charlie being inside Messenger, but we actually can still have Charlie as a widget on our websites, can't we?
Yep, 100%. All provided.
Yeah.
It's all that easy. And the other thing, Andrea, is even if they don't have a Facebook account, right? To have Messenger, you don't need to have a Facebook ID or anything like that. You can actually have a Messenger account, not have a Facebook, an Instagram, or a WhatsApp, even though they're all going to be integrated here shortly. But yeah, having that on your website, they can come in as a guest.
Yep.
The chatbot will behave the same way. The only thing you don't have is their name. But the next time they go onto Facebook, okay, Facebook knows who to target, because their ID is and that can be done. So yeah, just let the machine do the work for you.
So let's just reiterate that, because, you know we've got inside Messenger. We can put Charlie inside your Messenger, inside your little chat box there. So that's one digital platform that you will show up on. And now, of course, we're talking about, well, actually, hang on a second, you can now put a widget inside, on the front page of on every page, if you wanted to, inside your website. And so that now is a second digital platform that's accessible for Charlie to have a conversation with people who are being driven to your website. So for those of you there who are doing anything like Google ads or Bing ads, or if you're doing offline lead generation ads where you're sending people to your website, rather than just now relying on the contact us form, which you'll have there naturally as a static form on your website, you've now got a secondary chance at a catch of the apple, right? The bite of the apple, by having a Charlie Chatbot widget sitting there, having the conversation with your potential lead, having that engagement. Because look, leads are generated when people are engaging with you. Okay. And it's not about whether they know, like, or trust you, because right now they don't know you. They probably won't like you, and they definitely won't trust you. So let's get rid of that know, like, and trust, because that's pre-COVID. What you're looking at now is actually building credibility and respectability. And we live in an environment where it's an instant environment, where we expect an instant response. I'm amazed at how many people send me an email and then get really upset at me because I've not responded within 24 hours. And I go, do you really think you're important to me at that time? So we live in an instant society. And that's where something like Charlie can actually fill that gap temporarily and have that conversation, whether it's inside Facebook or whether it's inside your website. But there's also a third place, isn't there, Mike?
Sure is.
And that's with the QR codes.
Oh yeah.
And I know I haven't got any slides on there, but I have to say I get excited. So if you've been attempting to go out anywhere in the world wherever you may live, and you've probably had to go to a pub or go to a restaurant or a cafe or a bar, one of the first things they're going to get you to do is to sign in. Why? So they can track you. And in some cases, probably what you've had to do is open up your phone camera, go click, and get into a QR code. So if you're wondering what QR codes are, that's what it is. It's that funny looking square thing that's got those funny little squiggles on it, and you've had to put your camera up to it, and then it opens up a form on your phone. So let's talk about QR codes, because I'm excited with QR codes, I just have to tell you.
Yeah, I tell you what, we've been talking about marketing and customer support and all that kind of stuff. We've just had the Australian Polo Open up here about 3 weeks ago. Okay, there was
in Brisbane.
Yep, in Brisbane, and it was held out in the yonder, and so we're out in the bush there somewhere, and they had sold 600 tickets. So that was obviously 600 people who were going to turn up in cars. Okay, so it's not street traffic, and the main road into it is single lane both sides. So the last thing the event organisers wanted was a big lineup of cars coming in writing names down. So what we then did was, okay, everyone's familiar with QR codes. So as they drove up, they were given a piece of paper. Everyone in the car scanned it, and all they had to do was confirm their name and their email address and their phone number.
Perfect.
Done.
Yeah.
Okay, and worked absolutely seamless. And then when they left, the last thing they had to do was depart. And that said, thank you, hope you had a great day at the polo, yada, yada, yada. Now, for that event, obviously they needed to have a Facebook page and all that kind of stuff set up. Well, now they can actually reach out to all those people that turned up to the event through Facebook ads, okay? and actually build a lookalike audience around that and reach out, as well as go straight into the inbox and offer those people first choices to tickets for the next event.
So let's just reiterate that, because that's really important then. So what we're fundamentally saying is that Charlie Chatbot can, number one, show up inside your Messenger mascot, right? Number two, can show up on your website. And now number three, can show up on your offline marketing material.
Correct.
Freaking awesome.
I
and
know.
it all, and it all goes into the same funnel. It all goes through the same process.
Yep.
And all that data that's been collected has all been done because of Facebook's algorithms and Facebook's platform.
Yep.
So it's not like you're having to, try and get their details. They're already there. They're already present. Now, guys, is there going to be a percentage of the audience that aren't on Facebook? Yes, there is. But team, in Australia, there's 26 million people in Australia. There's 16 million people. 17 million people.
I can target 17 million Australians who have Messenger.
There you go. So, is there going to be a percentage of your potential audience that isn't on Facebook? Sure. Of course there is. Are you going to have to ask them to give you your name and number? Sure. Of course you are. But guess what? Charlie can actually do the bulk of that work for you. Yeah. So, Mike, I'm just going to jump across, and I'm just going to see if anybody's actually got any questions. So I'm hoping that someone does have some questions, or else I'm going to pick on you.
Oh, me or them?
Well, them. I'm sort of hoping we've got some questions out here, but I think everyone's just frantically writing down. So look, Mike, how long have you been in the marketing game for?
Yeah, I've been going since about the mid-90s on the internet, and then we got into mobile marketing around about 2002, where we were writing apps on Java phones, the normal old Nokias, and then we started writing apps on the early smartphones, and we actually had an app that we'd jailbroke onto the iPod before the iPhone was launched. Okay. And so that was our app hero days, but, we had the same questions there from marketing people. Oh, we've got to have the same app working on 28 million other freaking devices and all that jazz. Too hard. So I went back and we started keeping it simple. We started running SMS marketing campaigns using landing pages, and then good old Facebook came along, and then it's like, okay, how do we adapt the similar marketing in Facebook? And it was pretty straightforward. It was like run an ad, put it into a landing page, hope for the best. And it came along in 2016 where we were able to use Messenger, and we could run ads and push people into Messenger. However, there was no response. Okay, it was basically come to Messenger, and that was the problem. You had to be there 24/7 to respond to people. So Zuckerberg came out and he opened the API up to developers. So we jumped on the bandwagon, and we thought, right, how do we actually no horse shit here, but we started looking at it so that we could put Messenger inside our website platform. Okay, and it wasn't after we go, I wonder if we could do what we did with our SMS marketing system and apply it inside Messenger, which we managed to do. And then hence now we have a chatbot builder that allows us to do all that a lot easier now. So mid-90s when there was 5 million people on the internet, and we were actually told that everything's going to be like newspapers and all that jazz, and all the experts that were charging 30 grand a month were newspaper people, and they didn't really get to keep their job for that long. But here we go. So you've got to adapt to every new era.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting for this one since mid-90s.
Yeah, and look, certainly it's yeah, I've seen the same sort of iterations with technology myself over the last 20 odd years as well inside marketing and business. And what's been really fascinating is the early adopters, who's actually going to come on board and actually take advantage of the technology and utilize it the way, or even beyond the way that it should be used. And I think that's where we're now moving into another iteration of marketing technology, with utilizing chatbots and the way that it's incorporated into messenger marketing within Facebook. Just a couple of questions that's come through.
I saw the Sue one. That looks like
Yeah,
a good one.
yeah, are the contacts stored in Facebook Messenger? Ooh.
Oh, that's a good one, Sue. They sure are, darling.
Well, you've got a couple of options, really, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, firstly, they're going to be stored in Facebook Messenger.
That's number one.
Yep, where the conversation goes.
Yeah. And so just on that note, the reason why they're stored inside the Facebook Messenger is because it's like, best way I can describe it, it's like accessing an online telephone directory, where you've been able to go in, have a conversation with somebody inside the online directory, and you've got, and you've had that conversation actually stored. So that's why, yes, initially you can keep those contacts that you've been communicating with inside Facebook Messenger.
And
However,
you can delete it too.
and you can delete them as well, but you can then also take that contact information and you can feed it into a third party or a CRM system.
Yeah, absolutely. Zoho one's very good for it. The other part of that question, Sue, is obviously if you're using chatbots, the data on those people can be stored inside the chatbot builder platform, which is assigned to an account. Caveat, that data is now stored in Australia when working through our platform, not Russia or China. And the data that can be collected in there, insofar as personal information, when you're asking for that, that's basically stored on the servers here. You can download it as a CSV. That's all good. And then Facebook stores the data using an encrypted code that matches the page and their profile. So every code is unique, so you can't really reuse that person on another page because they've never had that conversation. So that's in a nutshell. That's the beauty about it, which is wholly different to iMessage on iPhones, because that data is purely being churned up, spat out,
and used.
Yes.
And just a real key point here, guys, which is really important. We know that there's been a lot of data security issues and cybersecurity issues. So it's real important when you are collecting people's data through online means, where is that data being housed? Now, here in Australia, there's been a massive ramping up in regards to data security of Australians' data. So one of the questions you should always be asking, and that is, where is the data once it's been collected? Where's it actually being housed and stored? And with the Charlie chatbots that we talk about, all of the data is actually stored here in Australia, where it's kept secure.
Under that
Kevin's got a
policy, we can't pass that on to partners, unlike the others.
Yeah, it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, non-negotiable.
Kevin's just asked a really good question as well, and that is, how customizable are the replies from Charlie? I.e., can we give Charlie a personality? Absolutely.
Because he wasn't Charlie before, was he?
He wasn't. We used to just call him the chatbot. We used to call him the chatbot. Yeah. Now we call him Charlie Chatbot, your messenger mascot, because we wanted Charlie to have a personality. Definitely. In fact, it would be an expectation that Charlie would take on, I guess, the mannerisms, personalities, language, tone, voice, messaging of your company, Kevin. So the way that you would actually communicate to an audience is what you would expect Charlie to do as well. So yes, as part of that onboarding process and bringing Charlie up to speed, one of the things as part of that strategy is, okay, so what is it you actually want Charlie to do? and then it gets broken down step by step like you would for a new employee. You do exactly the same for Charlie, and it would be, I want Charlie to answer this way. Fantastic, great. That's the way Charlie answers. You know, you might have Charlie do 2 or 3 steps as far as having a conversation before you then have him you know, say to the lead, how would you like to connect with us? Would you like someone to phone you back? Do you want to go to the website? Do you want to book an appointment? However it may be. So that's all part of that onboarding process that you want Charlie to understand.
It's like bringing up a child, not dissimilar, because you're always going to
Here's the process.
Absolutely, you're always going to change it. You're always going to dress it up differently, all that jazz. So,
Yeah.
you know, Charlie will grow with you.
Yeah. You can call him whatever name you like. You might want to call him Victor.
Two-stroke, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Sue's got a really great question that's just come back, and that is, can you access your data using the API? So when you say, let's just get a little bit of clarity around that, if you don't mind, Sue. When you say, can you access your data using the API, what data are you actually what data are you sort of talking about there?
Yeah, I thought I'd just turn my speaker off.
Perfect, thank you.
Because it might, so, you know, when you're getting the questions that are being asked, so knowing which questions are being asked more commonly and where they stop in that conversation maybe, so you could analyze to see where you're going wrong or what questions are being advised more, where you could direct some of your information a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a good question, Sue. At this stage, that's way too artificial from an AI perspective, okay? Because we don't have a lot of that smartness inside Messenger. However, that's going to be a manual process going through and looking inside your inbox. And then it's like I have the same question with real estate agents. Oh, they got this far. Well, I go, did you go back and ask them what they're actually looking to buy? And it's like, oh, no, they didn't ask. And it's like, no, go back. They've hit a point. They've hit a property on the market. But that also gives you a reason to re-engage with them, because as a person, or if you're talking, you've got a greater chance of converting them anyway, that way. So yeah, your chatbot's not going to do the whole process, okay? Unless you've got a, you know, let's say a wood duck that's come along, or there's a really, really quick process. I want to buy that ticket now, bang, bang, bang. But for conversations, generally we try and create the flow before it begins. Or we create a new flow for a new type of campaign that sits outside the main chatbot. So we can set up a series of different campaign funnels that can relate to that particular campaign.
Something that you may also want to consider there is, if you recall on websites, you know, most web devs or content writers would recommend that you have an FAQ page, a frequently asked questions page. Essentially, you can take that same methodology and apply it to something like Charlie. Where you know that there's going to be questions that are constantly going to be asked that can start the flow of the conversation. And what you may find is that over time that would need to be tested and measured, or guessed and measured. But what it comes down to is that, yeah, it's always going to be the same. It's no different than if you've got, let's say for example, you've got an e-commerce shop on your Facebook page, and you've got people coming into your messenger and they're asking you a ton of questions. You'll be able to go back over that historical data of those questions inside your messenger. This is pre-Charlie, and be able to go, okay, these are the 3 most commonly asked questions. If you were a fashion retail shop, you know that the common questions are going to be asked is, what sizes do you have? How much does it cost? and how long does it take for it to get posted. So you know that you've got the basis or the beginning of a conversation for Charlie. Now, over time, as you start to understand the kind of questions that your audience will have for you, then you can start to give Charlie those questions to also be prepared for the answers as well. Cool. Well, guys, look, this is, you know, Mike and I enjoy talking Charlie chatbots with everyone. It's something that really is an underutilized piece of marketing. So as I mentioned before about the marketing blueprint, remember 4 key components to it: your lead gen, your nurture journey, your prospect experience, and your sales conversion strategies, all of which Charlie has the ability to be a part of every single one of those key steps. Remember, we talked about the chatbot onboarding process. It's no different from really sitting down with you and talking any other marketing strategy, whether you're looking at a CRM strategy, whether you're looking at a web development strategy or a mobile application strategy. Charlie works and operates very much along the same manner. Remember though what I said about this piece of unique technology. It can be used for both online and offline lead generating strategies, which is actually quite a phenomenal piece of technology to be able to utilize. Mike, what I'm going to do is you will be receiving a copy of this recording. So I'm going to throw Mike's details into the follow-up email as well. This is me, yep, on there and here wearing the orange. I was going to say purple for some unknown reason. Wearing the orange shirt.
Man, that looks like something out of the 70s.
Thank you. I'm getting my wild child back on, although it's bring a teddy bear to work day today.
We had kitchen tiles that look like that.
Thanks, man. Where do you think I got the idea from? Also, too, what you'll also have is the opportunity to book a no obligation 30-minute conversation with me as well. So, look, it's there designed to give you guys, I guess, the right advice at the right time for your business. So please do take advantage of that as well. Thank you once again for joining us. It's been fantastic to have you present with us, or else it would have been a pretty boring conversation if it just been Mike and I. No, actually it wouldn't have been. It would have been great conversation. But on behalf of MBRIT, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I wish you all the very best for your future business endeavors, and I look forward to the opportunity of talking more with you about your business. Take care and have a great day. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, darling. See you later, guys. Thanks for being here. Awesome, mate.